Great exciting news to start your afternoon as Mitch McConnell starts on stimulus tomorrow. Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell will be negotiating for his stimulus. Joe Biden prepares for the transition and is already plotting announcements that will be made officially tomorrow. There's big progress underway. It takes more than one recording. I'll be detailing some now and then right after with Purple. But boy, stuff is moving very quickly to get stimulus relief out, coronavirus relief out, and this is incredible great news. After months of waiting, it's finally coming, and this is Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm so excited for you because finally there's movement, and the movement's very quickly as COVID-19 cases are rampant across the country, and there's really incredible progress to get second stimulus check, stimulus package, and third stimulus package relief out quickly. Mitch McConnell tomorrow, Monday morning, less than 24 hours from now, will set stimulus into play in the Senate, and is greatly needed, and it's going to move very quickly. I'm so excited for you, finally. I mean, just absolutely incredible. If you've not subscribed to this channel, please do go to the channel, subscribe, because boy, their stuff is moving very quickly, and we need to stay up to date by the minute, and stuff is totally different than ever before. So I want you to stay on tune to everything that I'm detailing, and some of these videos, I'm dropping important stuff at the end of the video, so stay to the very end. Also, like this video. This will be a comprehensive video in which I'll answer all your questions about check. And coming up 30 minutes after this is Purple, in which I detail more about grants and more about what Joe Biden is doing right now to prepare for tomorrow. Incredible great news. Following that is, of course, Being a Mitch, and then Street and Stimulus. All right, let's go over what's coming up in today's video. In today's video, I'll be going over a little bit more about what Joe Biden said about cooperation, and this was in reference to getting things done legislatively. That was what he was talking about, and he wants things to go very smoothly, and the first item of business is stimulus. He and Mitch right on point, going right away, no waiting around. Next, I have more about his incredible transition statement about stimulus relief that was released. That's a tongue twister, released today. Things are moving very quickly, and as I said to you on early mornings LA, it's a long statement, and also on mornings LA, it's a long statement, so I'm giving little highlights throughout the day. It's really incredible, great news. And then I'll be going over what you, the followers of this channel, the Purple Power, should be doing to prepare and get it going. All right, incredible, great news. I'm so excited you're here. Let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as we sit here today is that Mitch McConnell tomorrow, on Monday morning, will push stimulus in the Senate, and he's going to push it very, very quickly. The bill would start in the Senate, then it would go to the House, and then it would go to the President. If he does not sign it, then it goes back to the Senate. It will get overridden by a veto of the Senate, and then it would go to the House to get approved there as well. That's how you do it with agreement between the Democrats and the Republicans without the president involved. Question answered. I detailed a little bit more about that on Mornings LALATE if you want to know more about that at about the 10-minute mark in that video. Joe Biden is the chief negotiator for the stimulus on behalf of the Democrats. So he wants to get this done. He wants to set a message, and he wants to set the tone correctly. The tone is not the tone that you've seen over the last 4 months. So this is incredible, great news. So it's going to be very quick and crisp and to the point and non-partisan, bipartisan, however you want to say it. And it's going to get it out in the manner in which we need to get it out, and everything is totally different. So I want you to sort of distract yourself from everything that you heard about from Mitch in the bad times of May, everything that you heard from the Democrats in the bad times of June, and I want you to focus on the positivity, and this is getting it done. Mitch McConnell will be introducing stimulus relief as the first item of business in the Senate tomorrow. This this is incredible great news. The Senate could take up a lot of stuff, but he wants to make it done, get it done quickly. He will be negotiating with Joe Biden as Ed Markey revealed over the weekend. Mitch McConnell is now the number one Republican in the White House, with exiting President Donald Trump slowly sort of fading in the negotiation picture. And Joe Biden, now the entering of President-elect, is the number one Democrat in the nation, and not certainly the Temple of Doom. And so his focus, Joe Biden, is to get this relief out because it sets the tone for his administration to ensure that you get other things coming up right after this, and he wants this to go quickly and swiftly so he can move to the next items of business. So what would the deal items be? How would they work? How quickly would you see it? And what are we talking about? There is a path that would feature deal provisions that could potentially be mirroring that of the problem solvers, but everything is really up for negotiations. This is very, very quick, and so people are starting to focus on doing things very quickly. And ultimately, Mitch McConnell has an idea, Joe Biden has an idea, you have an idea, and ultimately it has to mesh. As Joe Biden said in this statement last night, the spirit is to cooperate. Let me go over a little bit about what Joe Biden anticipates for stimulus relief, and talking generally in his acceptance speech last night, but really it was in reference to legislation, and of course the first item of business for legislation is stimulus. Let's get this grim era of demonization of America beginning to end here and now. The refusal of Democrats and Republicans to cooperate with one another is not due to some mysterious force behind our control. It's a decision, it's a choice we make, and if we can decide not to cooperate, then we can decide to cooperate. And I believe that this is part of the mandate for the American people. They want us to cooperate, and we do. This is amid months of you seeing what really unfolded down to the very last, it was almost less than a week ago that people asked me on camera, hey, can you read Steve Mnuchin's letter to her? I'm like, no, I'm not going to read that, because that's sort of the demonization of America. It's the pettiness that Joe Biden's moving past from. Now, it's incredible to understand, and this is just superb news, is that Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell have been doing bipartisan legislation as a team for decades, not years, but decades. Joe Biden came up as a junior senator around the time as Mitch McConnell came up as a junior senator. And they worked on both sides of the aisle and passed majors of legislation. Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell were able to get things done. That was a different generation in which people understood differences and figured out solutions. And that's what's happening with stimulus. How much, how quickly, how fast, and what are the details? Let me go over that right now. Stimulus check would likely be in there. Big stimulus check. Deal provisions for that in a second. FPUC, PUA, UI, FPEUC. Some form of relief for businesses, whether it's EIDL, PPP, or a combination. Something for frontline workers, whether we call it hazard pay or we call it bonus pay. And then all the other things which you need, which is eviction protection, mortgage protection, all that rent aid, all that incredible great stuff. The question is, how do you get it within the confines of really a tight allocation, 1.5 trillion? And that's why you go back to the deal items. Well, the Problem Solvers bill had a $1.5 billion price tag, trillion-dollar price tag, with certain items in there that you could certainly remove right now. And some of those items that can be removed are that sort of excess that you and I really just don't co-sign to, nor does Mitch McConnell. And so then you focus on what's remaining. And well, let's go to stimulus. Stimulus. First, checks. Checks. There's two checks in the Problem Solvers bill of $1,200. One now and one March. And those estimated about 300 and 300, so about $600 billion. Okay, you take those out, and then you look to that SBA money from CARES Act 1, stimulus package number 1, that is unused, repurpose it for stimulus checks, and you can get bigger, bolder stimulus checks right now without dipping into that 1.5 trillion of the Problem Solvers bill. This would be incredible great news if they understand the importance of it. And the Purple Power has been pushing this very clearly. I've been telling you, go on social media, share these videos, tag your elected officials, Republican senators, Democratic senators, the elected, the president-elect, Mitch McConnell. Say, hey, that CARES Act 1 money that is unused, please send it out for stimulus checks. Also, Joe Biden has a new transition team Twitter account. Please find that as well. What's important to understand is that that money would give you a bigger and bolder stimulus check. It could go out quicker. It would not await taking the money out of Treasury because it's already out of Treasury. And what's incredible great news is that it wouldn't dip into bigger deficit spending, which is what Mitch McConnell doesn't want. And so this meets everyone's demands and interests. Then we go to FPUC. FPUC, well, you need a certain number of weeks, and you need to have a retroactive, and you need to continue it into spring and early spring. And you need FPUC, FPEUC and PUA to continue past December. They're expiring. And what number would the weekly benefits come in? I think about $400 a week. This is incredibly great news because ultimately you need these benefits and you need to come right now. Then the next focus, of course, is rent. With rent, you need rent aid, and you need eviction protection and mortgage forbearance, and you need those things right away. And in Joe Biden's new transition statement released today, and more about his stimulus package statements yesterday, he detailed the importance of treating Americans with relief and dignity. Building back means an updated social contract that treats American workers and working families as essential at all times, not just times of crisis, with higher wages, stronger benefits, and fairer, safer workplaces. This is all sort of hazard pay-ish language. We've seen millions of American workers put their lives and health on the line to keep our country is going. That's very hazard pay-ish. As Biden has said, let's just not praise them, let's pay them a decent wage. So now he's talking about raising the minimum wage. That starts with passing the Protection of Rights Organization Act, providing public service workers with bargaining rights. That's more non-stimulus things. President-elect is working to address discrimination and harassment. He will sign legislation to ensure paid sick leave. He's working on ensuring that Americans have access to affordable health care. And these are all other things that are rolling out. So what's important to understand is that he has a lot of things that he wants to do, but ultimately that comes after stimulus, which he's already said is his first priority. So then you go to the question of everything else. Well, there's so many things expiring in December, and there's so many things needed right away. And this is the sense of urgency, getting these things out very quickly. If you're signed up for SSDI, SSI, or electronic, VA or RB, and you get your payments by electronic receipt, you would receive the payments within 10 days after this becomes law. If you sign up for anything that's paper related, you would add an additional week. So you could receive this very quickly. The issue is when and where you will see the optics of the situation. And this is what's really quite important. The optics of the situation are going to be very different. So you're not going to see people appearing on Good Morning America every 10 seconds saying they're not serious about the virus, and they're not serious about science, and they're not serious about this. That's exactly what Joe Biden does not want to do. So you're not going to see Joe Biden trash talking Mitch McConnell. And you're also not going to see a lot of updates about what they're doing. They're just going to do it really quickly. Mitch McConnell specifically has been one of those people, and so is Joe Biden. And so that everything that you've seen before is totally different. It's going to involve different people. It's going to involve a different path. And that ultimately what you're going to see is Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell coming to an agreement. That agreement would then manifest itself with enough senators agreeing to the bill, at least a 2/3 majority, with a quorum present that would override a veto. Then you would have the House team on board as well, the House Democrats, with a 2/3 that would override a veto. And then they would set it to a Senate vote, set it to a House vote, and then send it off to be voted upon. And just to be signed upon. And if it's not signed upon, then it goes right back to veto and it becomes law. The path to getting this done starts today. It started yesterday for purposes of President-elect. The purpose of us, we've been doing it since April 25th. And what's important to understand is that we're not waiting to May or March or April. And there will be ultimately people that drop in the comments, I don't see it until April or March or May. Well, that's certainly not how legislation works. Joe Biden has been one of the people who's very good on doing things quickly in time of need and times of transition. Every president-elect works in the transition period, some in the case of emergency and some not in the case of emergency. This is a case of emergency. And as a president-elect in the case of emergency, what he does is he starts the ball rolling and getting all the team members in place, all the deal provisions agreed upon, and getting it sent out. And that ultimately, you get the relief faster because the relief is needed sooner. The last time we saw this was over 8 years ago, when the Obama-Biden administration came in and had to solve the crushing banking industry that was collapsing, and that you couldn't wait to January 1st to get this type of relief, to just start working on this type of relief. Ultimately, what analysts are saying today is that if you just start on everything and don't do anything until January 1st, then by then the pandemic will have ravaged across the country. It's too little too late. So what's incredible great news as we sit here today is that the path of stimulus is before us. Incredible great news. Let me go over some of your questions and comments from yesterday's video. Monica, go purple power and support this. Yes. Wendy, I pray he doesn't wait to December or January. He's not. Lisa, holidays are coming. Yes. Christina, let's get it done. Amen. Sharon, Mitch, remember our back pay stimulus checks. He's not going to give you back pay stimulus checks. The push of the purple power is to give you robust stimulus checks. So ultimately, those people that did not give you April, May are never going to give you those retroactive things. The best retroactive thing that you could possibly get is FPUC back to July. And certainly the push is for big stimulus checks, not $1,200. Leray, they should have been sending them out already. They should have already had a bill already and a law. Kathy, we all need help and support. Amen. Butterflies, purple power, praying for stimulus. D-Way, let's get this done. Roberta, thank you for not giving up on us. I'm not giving up on you. Who's going to give up on you? If you have questions or comments in today's video, drop them in the comments below and we may feature them in tomorrow's recording. Coming up next is Purple. Big developments on what is happening with grants, more about checks, and more about that major announcement by Joe Biden minutes ago this Sunday afternoon. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and save that life for more.